Good morning. It is 9:06 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? I'm Chris Hand. Show is brought to you by our friends at Better Water LLC. Water filtration systems, water softeners. You get those at betterwater.com. We got a big show planned for you today, and I'm so excited to have you here. No matter how you're listening or watching, iHeartRadio, tune in, the FM dial. You could be watching us on YouTube and Rumble. Hit like, hit subscribe, share the show with your friends. Help us grow the digital footprint of the radio station. We appreciate you doing that. Big day today. Do you know I'm doing double duty?
Oh, for real?
So I'm doing my show here in Nashville, and then I got a phone call from some guys in Little Rock, Arkansas, and I'm going to be filling in and doing an afternoon show in Little Rock.
Ooh.
Live from Murfreesboro.
There we go.
That's awesome.
Nothing says Little Rock like Murfreesboro.
Well, and most notable thing to happen in Murfreesboro in the last 15 years.
It's it's a pretty big deal. So we're really excited. If you need more Chris Hand, you'll be able to get him this afternoon on 102.9 KARN. It's going to be fun. We're looking forward to it. The big story today is going to be what happened with Nick Shirley and his reporting. But before we get to that, did everybody have a good Christmas? You guys have a good Christmas?
Beautiful Christmas. What about yourself?
Joan, you had a good Christmas?
Oh, yeah. It was so nice.
Your Christmas, Joan, has been completely reinvigorated with all the grandkids now.
Oh, yeah. This is a lot of fun. So we actually only spent the day with two of them, and then the rest of the family comes in January, in like a week from now, maybe a little more than a week, and then everybody will be together. We'll do Christmas all over again.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that. I played this earlier during the cross with Brian, but this sums up my Christmas, and I feel the exact same way about the wife here that my 3-year-old does.
My goodness, I love you, Mom.
that was our Christmas in a nutshell. We love you, Mom. Thank you for all the hard work. I was eagerly waiting to see what we got the kids in anticipation with the kids.
I love that you do, like, you hold it off for a little while, the anticipation.
You
We used to do this
it.
kind of the same thing, but I don't think we torture them the way you do. So.
Torture is such a subjective word.
Yes,
Earn
it
it.
is.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, what did didn't they play like the Dixie Chicks for terrorists in Guantanamo
Right,
Bay?
yeah.
You know, torture is subjective.
Right.
Torture is subjective. We had a lot of fun though, and I did a good job. I put my phone away. I didn't try to sit on
Love
the phone.
it. Good for you.
I didn't really want to be in the news cycle. I was like, I can take a few days off, and I did, and it was awesome. When I turned my phone back on, I found the biggest story of the holiday break staring me in the face. Nick Shirley, who is a great guy for all intents and purposes. I don't know how familiar you are with Nick Shirley. He's not a fly-by-night guy. He's been doing this for a couple of years now. Investigative journalist. I do think the way people frame him as a YouTuber or a social media influencer, it's in that same vein when they call you a conspiracy theorist. It's to discredit you. It's to take some wind out of your sails. And I don't think that that's the case at all. I think that this guy is doing the work that the mainstream media should be doing. Nick Shirley uncovered $110 million worth of fraud in Minnesota in one day. In one day. How? How on earth did he do this? Well, he found out via a local man who goes by the name David that the child care centers in Minnesota weren't caring for any children. Yet they were receiving federal grants to the tune of millions. And it was child care facility after child care facility after child care facility. And in this 42 minutes of reporting that Nick Shirley has posted on his X account, at Nick Shirley, he goes to all of them, where he gets chased out by Somalis. He gets doors slammed in his face. He's told no, his son wouldn't be able to make friends at this daycare with no children. And just down the line, these daycares are slamming the door in his face while they're receiving millions of taxpayer dollars. Millions. It's insane. The video begins with Nick Shirley and researcher David introducing their probe into Minnesota's welfare fraud. And they focus on the Somali community, rightfully so, in Minneapolis, building on the prior scandals that we already know about, the $250 million for Feeding Our Future aid fraud, the alleged broader $1 billion in fraud schemes that involve healthcare centers, transportation services, and child care services were the main focus of Nick Shirley. And It was unbelievable. They go up to one of these daycare centers, and it's called the South Minneapolis Learning Center. Did you see that?
What are they learning, Chris?
No,
Oh,
they're leering.
Yeah, they're leering because they spelled learning wrong on the
Apparently not
side.
how to spell.
Licensed for 65 children, receiving over $4 million in taxpayer funds. No kids in there, locked doors, blacked out windows when mom and dad should be at work. That's a little odd. If that was the only one, it would still raise some eyebrows, but it was one of many. And these daycare centers average about $2.5 million in taxpayer funds per year. The guy that accompanied him in the video goes by the name David. This is him breaking down the Minneapolis fraud that he uncovered.
Massive fraud is going on here in the state of Minnesota, especially in Minneapolis. Explain to me what's going on with the daycares.
So one of the things that I've noticed is there's an exceptional number of child care centers that are set up mostly in Minneapolis, but also in St. Paul. And I said, wow, how many kids are there in the Twin Cities? Some of them are by my office, and I would watch, and I said, well, there aren't any kids there. And I'd go to another one, there aren't any kids there, and I'd see just some Somali guys outside smoking cigarettes. So I stopped at one of them, and I said, hey, I'm just wondering, I've got a grandson who's looking for childcare, and I wonder if this might be a good facility. And they said, no, we're all full. And they had the door open, and I looked, and there were no kids. There was like a couch and a table with a couple chairs. And I said, well, are the kids out back playing, or what kind of place is this? And the guy said, you go. And he almost pushed me out the door. And then
That's normal, though, right? That's what? Why would you assume that that's fraud? You're not some sort of evil, racist bigot against the Somalis, are you? Because that's the narrative that the left is pushing. That, trust me, you are a bigot if you think that the Somalis are committing fraud in Minneapolis, Minnesota. There's so many different angles to this story. I mean, we can go the route where we talk about the death of mainstream media.
he followed me down the street.
We could talk about how Nick Shirley is 23 and completely scooping CBS, ABC, NBC, Fox. We could talk about how Elon Musk changed the landscape by buying X, and how we wouldn't be able to get this kind of reporting if it wasn't for the free speech platform that is X. We could talk about that. We could focus on the angle of just the outright fraud, which I think is really the big thing here. But you got multiple businesses at one address. Investigators documenting, this is in the healthcare area, 14 healthcare agencies registered at a single small building, collectively receiving millions, no visible activity. They went into a building where they're knocking on doors. Hey, we're looking for healthcare rates. They're like, no, you go. You go. You can't be here. We don't have healthcare for you. It's like, what? They went and found all these transportation companies and did an investigation to them. Medical transportation firm reveals no vehicles or operations despite significant funding. Calculations showing over $110 million uncovered in one day across various sites. But there's all these non-emergency medical transportation. There's all these healthcare providers. There's all these child care centers. And nobody seems to know anything that's going on. And this is another angle that you could focus on. When you bring in migrants who don't have a goal of assimilation, you get closed-knit, self-segregated communities. And these closed-knit, self-segregated communities are looking out for the closed-knit, self-segregated community. They're not looking out for Americans. They don't view themselves as Americans. In fact, they view us as being on stolen land. And I've seen video after video of these Somali children saying the exact same thing. So you get a cloud of secrecy, a cloud of silence, and nobody wants to talk. Nobody wants to talk. And the Democrats and their propaganda arm in the mainstream media doesn't want to do the investigations because it would expose everything that's going on. The transportation networks are wild.
I started to see all these transportation companies going around, and it was always a Somali driver. And I said, well, that's great. They're out there transportation, contributing, but they never had a passenger, never, ever once.
That's weird.
And I said, well, what is all this transportation? What are they doing? So then I found out that in Minnesota, they have something called non-emergency medical transportation. So this is going to the dentist's office, therapy, whatever it might be. And I said, well, how many of these companies are there? And the research came back that there are 1,020 of them, and more than 800 of them are Somali-owned.
Nothing to see here. Again, if you think that the Somalis are up to no good, you might be a bigot. It's like the Jeff Foxworthy. You might be a redneck. If you think that the 800 Somali non-emergency medical transportation companies aren't on the up and up, you might just be a racist. And this is what we're going to see. This is what we're going to have levied against us for watching this reporting. This is the names that we're going to be called. Get ready. But nobody knows anything. Even the local Minnesotans don't know anything. At one point in Nick Shirley's reporting, again, if you haven't seen the video, it's on my X account, at Chris Hand on Air. You should watch the entire 42 minutes. It is eye-opening. And it's not a heavy lift. 42 minutes, you can watch that this evening after dinner. It's worth it. It is eye-opening. But you have these close-knit Somali communities that won't talk to outsiders. They keep everything in-house. So even the locals in Minneapolis have no idea what's going on in the Somali community. And that was on full display where during this video with Nick Shirley, there's a guy walking by, and this is at the Luring Center, which, obviously you just comedically misspelled learning on your fraudulent daycare, which is just unbelievable and poetry, honestly. It's poetry. But you had a guy walk by, and he's like, hey, have you seen any kids here at the Luring Center?
Never seen a child here for 8 years.
Nope, not at all.
And how does that make you feel knowing that this place is receiving $1.9 million?
Disgusting. I mean, what the hell? They stealing the money. That's a federal grant, too. That's, if they get caught for that, it's a federal offense. I know, I studied law.
And do you think Tim Walz should go to jail for all the fraud that he's enabled here in his state?
That's him doing this? What the heck yeah. He's got to be held accountable for this. I mean, there's no rhyme or reason what's going on here. It's simple. It's nothing there.
Tim Walz should be held accountable. You know what happened this morning? This is a funny thing. Sweet Angel Childcare is one of the childcare providers. And there were reports that the phone number linked to Sweet Angel Childcare on the website for Sweet Angel Childcare, a Somali-run Minnesota daycare. The reports online are that the phone number that they present on their website goes directly to Governor Walz's office. I don't know if this is true. Do you know if this is true?
We can find out.
People are saying that it's true. So here's the number. Here's the number that they have online for the Sweet Angel Childcare Daycare Center. 651-201-3400. So we're going to test this out in real time and see where this phone number goes. Can you call that phone number for me real quick? So Sam's going to call the phone number, and we're going to call Sweet Angel Childcare here in Minnesota, and we're going to put it on the air, and we're going to see, does this actually go to Sweet Angel Childcare, or does it go somewhere else? Will you call them for me, Sam? Because I think the people need to know. Sam's getting it up.
I'm calling, but it won't let me put it on the air while it's hitting the voicemail.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right, well then let's do it this way. I'll call it here. Can you hear that? Okay.
Yeah, we can hear it.
Let's see what happens.
Thank you for contacting the office of Governor Tim Walz and Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan.
Oh.
Our office is located at
That's weird. That's weird. It does go to Governor Tim Walz's office. Nobody thought to check these daycares. Nobody thought to cross-reference addresses. Nobody thought to cross-reference phone numbers. Nobody thought to, go check and see if the 100 kids that you're receiving federal funding for are at the daycare facility. 110 million views on this reporting. And we have not even scratched the surface of it. A lot of reaction coming in. The vice president, the director of the FBI, Mike Johnson had something to say about it as well. We'll talk about all that and more on the way. Nick Shirley's reporting on the fraud in Minnesota is easily top of the stack today. 9:21. This is Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, what's up? It's Chris Hand here for my friend Aaron Parker over at Parker Safes and Vaults in Shelbyville. Maybe you got some new toys for Christmas. Maybe you got some new firearms. Maybe you got the wife some new jewelry. Whatever it is, you don't want it to fall into the hands of those who want to take it from you. You want to keep it safe. This is where safes come in handy. And this is why I always tell you about my friends at Parker Safes and Vault. This is a huge difference. There's a huge difference between a real gun safe and the flimsy metal boxes sold at big stores. Parker Safes and Vaults in Shelbyville, they sell the real thing. Heavy-duty gun safes built for fire protection, theft deterrence, securing your firearms, but also the new jewelry that you got, the photo albums that you don't want to lose in a fire, and more. Aaron Parker knows security. He's an Air Force security veteran, former U.S. Park Ranger. He knows firearms. He knows home security, and he'll help you choose the safe that fits your needs and your budget. You can actually learn a lot from Aaron before you even hit the store. He runs a YouTube page. Just search for Parker Safes and Vaults on YouTube, and they review every safe that they have in stock. This December, when you mention the Chris Hand Show at Parker Safes and Vaults, you'll receive a free gift with your new safe, something every responsible gun owner will appreciate. So call my guy, Aaron Parker, today. Tell him you need a new safe. He'll walk you through the whole process. 931-842-6445, 931-842-6445, or find him online, parkersafes.com.
Up ahead, a Chattanooga officer is shot as he responds to a call of shots fired. Also, a new law goes into effect on New Year's Day, how it helps to stop illegal aliens from voting in Tennessee. Those stories at 9:30 here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
They don't have to worry about illegal aliens voting. I actually have it on good authority that it's already illegal. So,
And it never probably happens.
no,
right.
that would never.
Yeah.
That would never happen. Hey, if you're watching us on YouTube or Rumble, first hit like and subscribe. Secondly, I got a meme for you. Do you see the meme? Can you put it on the screen for me? It says, this week on House Hunters, wife, Somali daycare owner, husband, Somali grocery store owner, budget $3.2 million. It's kind of what we're finding out. And they probably still get SNAP benefits because it's Minnesota, don't you know? It's Minnesota. J.D. Vance, very impressed by the reporting via Nick Shirley, as we all are. Again, when they call him a YouTuber, when they call him an online influencer, just so you know, there are those people out there that do that, which you would classify them as a YouTuber, you would classify them as an influencer. Like the girl doing makeup tutorials, yes, like that's a YouTuber, that's a social media influencer. But the work that Nick Shirley was doing doesn't fall under YouTuber or influencer. It falls under investigative journalist. And that's what we saw. J.D. Vance on X saying, this dude has done far more useful journalism than any of the winners of the 2024 Pulitzer Center prizes. He's absolutely right. Nick Shirley responded to the vice president saying, thank you, Mr. Vice President. I am that dude. He is that dude. And the reporting is unbelievable. 110 million views in very short order. I don't know if the timing was deliberate, but it was perfect. I mean, you had so many people that are lounging around on new tech, new phones, new iPads, and here comes this explosive reporting. The timing couldn't have been better. Millions upon millions of views. And again, endorsements from Vance, Ted Cruz, Donald Trump Jr., Kerry Lake, Mike Flynn, all of them demanding accountability from Tim Walz, all of them linking it to failed immigration policies. Speaker Mike Johnson says the House Oversight Committee is demanding data from Tim Walz and Attorney General Keith Ellison and requesting interviews with Minnesota officials who allowed or participated in this fraud, saying this jaw-dropping reporting is an indictment of both the national news media and feckless, dangerous office holders in Minnesota like Tim Walz, who have allowed these massive fraud schemes to occur for years. No more, says Mike Johnson. Now, this is great, and I love that everybody's getting behind the reporting. But we need to see some action. And we need to see some accountability. That's key. Otherwise, what difference does it make? If there are no arrests, if there's no accountability, then all of this is for naught. And it doesn't mean a damn thing. And the fraud will continue. Anna Paulina Luna was on Fox News last night, and she said exactly the same thing. She said, guys, unless we see perp walks, what are we even talking about here?
The Oversight Committee gets out of this investigation?
Look, I think I share the same frustrations with many Americans in that who wants to see another hearing without there actually being charges brought against people that are essentially defrauding the federal government and stealing from American citizens that deserve a lot of these resources that they're stealing. And so I'm hoping that we'll bring these people forward, that they can give us names and people that the DOJ can arrest. But I don't want there to just be another announcement, another angry, 15-second tweet on X, and then have it go away. I think that the DOJ needs to perp walk people if they've broken the law.
Exactly. Do you feel confident that you might see some perp walks? Do you feel confident in this DOJ? I'll tell you what, there's a lot of places in the Trump administration that I feel really good about. The DOJ is not one of them. It's just not. And we just saw Dan Bongino go, you know what? Actually, Deputy Director of the FBI is really nice, but I think I can make more impact as a podcaster. Which I think is a huge indictment on not only the FBI, but the DOJ as a whole. So until we get perp walks, the reporting is awesome. But where's it going to go? FBI Director Kash Patel has issued a statement on the reporting. There are reports that FBI agents are surging Minnesota in relation to the fraud, and we'll talk about that and more on the way. It's 9:30, Super Talk, 99.7 WTN.
Good morning, 9:30 now. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. A Chattanooga police officer is in stable condition now after being hurt in a shootout at a gas station in Hickson last night. Police are saying that officer responded to a shots fired call at a Circle K on Highway 153 when a man opened fire on the officers as they arrived. That man who fired the shots managed to get behind the wheel of the officer's cruiser and took off. He was captured later. TBI is leading the investigation here. Well, now that a federal judge has sprung MS-13 gang member Kilmar Abrego Garcia from jail, he apparently fancies himself as a TikTok star. He's making videos, drawing criticism from DHS now and from citizens around the country. U.S. District Judge Paula Zinnes ruled that the U.S. can't detain or deport him again because she said the government didn't produce a final order of removal.
At least it was a banger of a song, though, Joan.
You think it was? I didn't understand a word he said.
It was a banger.
Yeah, banger. That's what I was thinking. Apparently, it's supposed to be a worship song of some sort. He's now very religious.
Oh, it's good to know.
Yeah, it sure is. Beginning in 2026, people living in Tennessee who are legally present in the state but not U.S. citizens will only be issued temporary driver's licenses or ID cards that specifically indicate they're not fully citizens. Tennessee State Senator Bo Watson.
Only permanent driver's license and photo IDs are valid for voter identification, explicitly excluding temporary IDs. This ensures the security and integrity of our elections.
Also starting on Thursday, Tennessee won't recognize driver's licenses issued to illegal immigrants from other states. That's the latest news, traffic and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
down near 20, even in the teens in some areas with the wind factored in. It will feel like the teens tomorrow morning. Tomorrow afternoon will stay a little bit breezy, good sunshine, but those temperatures stay near freezing.
You're listening to the Chris Hand Show on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
The Oversight Committee gets out of this investigation.
Look, I think I share the same frustrations with many Americans in that who wants to see another hearing without there actually being charges brought against people that are essentially defrauding the federal government and stealing from American citizens that deserve a lot of these resources that they're stealing. And so I'm hoping that we'll bring these people forward, that they can give us names and people that the DOJ can arrest. But I don't want there to just be another announcement, another angry, 15-second tweet on X, and then have it go away. I think that the DOJ needs to perp walk people if they've broken the law.
Amen. That's Anna Paulina Luna reacting to the reporting by Nick Shirley. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Show's brought to you by our friends at Better Water LLC. We've been covering this explosive reporting by Nick Shirley. 110 million views on X alone over the weekend. Unbelievable. Congratulations, Nick Shirley. If you hadn't heard of him before, you know who he is now. The kid just hit mainstream with this story. And he didn't do anything crazy. You know what he did? He got a camera and he just went to Minneapolis and knocked on doors. And that's all you need to do. It's not groundbreaking the way he did it, but nobody else was doing it. CBS, NBC, ABC, Fox, they didn't seem to see the story that was staring them in the face in Minnesota. Nick Shirley did. And now we want some damn accountability. And Anna Paulina Luna is right. We're hearing that Mike Johnson says this is enough, no more. We have the House Oversight Committee. There's going to be investigations. And it's like, okay, great. Like, do we want another strongly worded letter? Do we need another angry tweet? No, we want individuals to get silver bracelets and to face jail time. And that's the only way that this stuff stops happening. That's the only way this stuff gets cleaned up. If it gets memory holed the way the Democrats and the mainstream media want to memory hole it, nothing's going to happen. And we can't allow that. We just can't. There are real issues with all this money disappearing. You can talk about how it's going to terror networks in Somalia. You could also just talk about how it's not going to the people that need it. Both are awful. It needs to be stopped. FBI Director Kash Patel says investigators are storming the region. And we do have videos of these FBI directors raiding healthcare facilities in Minnesota. Those are available online. We have a video. If you're watching on social media, if you're watching on YouTube or Rumble, you'll see the video of FBI agents raiding a Somali health services building in Minnesota. That's good. Need to see more. And excuse me if I don't have the utmost confidence in the FBI. Maybe it's a bit of being, discouraged over the 4 years of the Biden administration. Maybe there's a bit of a hangover with that. Maybe it's the fact that Dan Bongino walked out because he couldn't get anything done. But I don't have the utmost confidence in the FBI. FBI Director Kash Patel says Somali fraudsters are being referred for denaturalization and deportation, and that what we publicly know is only the tip of a very large iceberg, saying we will continue to follow the money to protect the children, and this investigation very much remains ongoing. Furthermore, many are also being referred to immigration officials for possible further denaturalization and deportation proceedings where eligible. It's nice. It's a good statement. I just want to see action to back it up. And so far, we haven't seen much action. I wish it was the FBI breaking this story. It's not. It's an independent journalist. And I wonder if the FBI would be making any kind of statement if it wasn't for Nick Shirley doing this. I don't think that would have happened. I don't think we would have heard about any of this if it wasn't for Nick Shirley and his reporting. Tom Emmer agrees. Minnesota Rep Tom Emmer. He was on Fox News talking about the reporting done by Nick Shirley.
It's amazing to me that a 23-year-old journalist, a YouTuber, who's now got over 80 million views on this thing, found more in a matter of hours than Tim Walz and Keith Ellison, our Attorney General, have found in 7 years, Mike. I got to tell you, we've known in Minnesota about the daycare fraud for a decade. Keith Ellison is our current Attorney General. His predecessor, Lori Swanson, was actually investigating the daycare fraud and prosecuting back in 2017 and 18. As soon as Ellison became the Attorney General and Walz became the governor, all of that stopped. And now you see the result. Billions of dollars, it has been alleged, that they have fraudulently built out of Minnesota. There was a housing stabilization program that was created in 2020. It's through the Medicaid program, a different one other than daycare. They spent $161 million. It was estimated it was going to be $2 million a year, Mike. From 2020 until they shut it down in October, it was $161 million. This daycare fraud, there's one woman in particular who created a fake daycare and built $14 million on her own. This thing is huge. Tim Walz is absolutely singing a false song.
Thanks, Tom Emmer. If you've known about it for so long, why haven't you been screaming about it for so long? Why is it that we're just really seeing this tip of the iceberg now? I don't know. I got questions. Tom Emmer does say prosecution's on the table against Governor Walz and Attorney General Keith Ellison. I hope so. I don't have any faith that we'll actually see it, but Tom Emmer did say on Fox News that prosecution, it's on the table.
I do, but here's the difference. In Minnesota, this has been going on for years. I told you, we've known about the daycare fraud for the past decade. We've been trying to sound the alarm on the rest of the fraud for the last 3 years, and it wasn't until President Trump, who I'm very grateful for him actually saying something about it, made this a national story that people started paying attention. And here's the difference. Minnesota, it's apparently a business. Whistleblowers are coming forward, and if they are real, Mike, and if what they're saying can be documented, and what they're saying is they told Tim Walz, they told Keith Ellison about the fraud when it was happening, and they not only didn't do anything, they retaliated against them. Mike, if that's true, if that can be documented, these guys need to be prosecuted, held accountable, and prosecuted to the full extent of the law. And the other difference here is the taxpayer dollars in Minnesota, billions were being shipped overseas to a known terrorist group, Al-Shabaab, back in Somalia. So this is much bigger in Minnesota. I do not disagree with Governor Braun that it probably is happening elsewhere as well.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about that later on in the show. Which state is going to be the next in the crosshairs? Is it going to be California? Is it going to be Maine? Is it going to be Ohio? Is it going to be Texas? It's coming. Make no mistake about it. Especially after the results from Nick Shirley, you have another 1,000 investigative journalists out there licking their chops, saying that this is a huge story, and nobody else wants to cover it. We do need accountability. Tom Emmer, we've known for a long time. Okay, well, where have you been, Tom? Where have you been? In the meantime, while Tom has known all of this going on, you got mayors in Minnesota that are absolutely livid about the wide-scale Somali fraud, pissed, if you will. Because when the money goes to the Somalis and gets shipped out of the country, guess what? The local towns and municipalities in Minnesota, they don't get the funding that they need. There was one mayor of Lexington, Minnesota. His name's Mike Murphy. And he's like, guys, we need money for a water tower. Not a lot of money, in the grand scheme of things. I mean, it's a lot of money. It's $10 million for the water tower to make it, right? $10 million for water infrastructure. But they can't get it. Meanwhile, you have fake child care centers landing $2 million a year, $1.9 million a year, $2.5 million a year. But this poor Mayor Murphy in Lexington, Minnesota, he's like, hey, I would really love $10 million for water infrastructure. And they're like, dude, whoa, that's a big ask, brother. I don't know if we can foot that bill.
Mandates, and I wanted to go do something about it. And fraud was a big issue back then, but now it's 10 times worse. And the problem is, us as small cities, the things that we face is, like my city, for example, needs water infrastructure. The city my size is around 4,000 people, but it's nearly impossible to try to fund a $10 million water plant with a 4,000 person city. So we're forced to buy it from our neighboring communities. But if there wasn't so much fraud, waste, and abuse, Minnesota, Griff, there would be money available for us to build that water treatment facility for our residents. That's the point that us mayors are trying to make, is there's so much waste in the state that there's nothing left for the people that matter, which is us.
Nothing left for the people that matter. This is what we've been talking about. When you look the other way for all this fraud, the people that get hurt are the American citizens. It's America last. In Minnesota, it's Somalia first. These guys have understood that this is a very, very powerful voting bloc, so they'd rather look the other way on the fraud than help the actual citizens of Minnesota. It's disgusting. We need some accountability. Jonathan Turley was on Fox News, and he says, guys, we have to be able to hold Tim Walz accountable. But I have a feeling that this is only going to help Tim Walz in his reelection campaign, that this is going to help the Democrats just get behind and be like, oh, the weaponization of the Justice Department. Trump is after Tim Walz because he's a man's man and was Kamala's vice presidential pick. And it's like, no. He looked the other way on the fraud, and we need to hold him accountable.
We have to be able to hold people like Walz to account. If you burn $1 billion through sheer negligence, just blind recklessness, then there's got to be some accounting. You've got to appear and answer for these questions.
So do you think Walz will actually have to appear before the House Oversight Committee?
I think he might. And, without any question, he and his administration are going to have to answer some questions. And he's going to have to do better than he did over the weekend. I mean, he basically offered a shrug and a smile. Well, there's $1 billion missing on the table, and someone's going to have to answer for it.
He offered a shrug and a smile. Actually, fun fact, as the reporting was breaking on Saturday, and Nick Shirley is gaining millions upon millions of views, Tim Walz was posting cat memes. Did you see that? He actually posted Happy Catter Day.
Wow.
That's the guy that they got to be able to speak to young male voters in the Democrat Party.
Well, I'm not shocked by his inability to load a shotgun or the fact that he thinks we need tampons in the boys' bathroom. Is it really that far-fetched for him to be posting about Catter Days?
No, it's not. And I don't think it's far-fetched when the questions come up about, is Tim Walz getting kickbacks? I think that's a real question that needs to be asked, because we all wonder, how could you look the other way? We played a clip from this guy last week. He's a disability activist. His brother is disabled. And he's like, guys, all the money that could be used to help people with disabilities in Minnesota is going to the Somalis. He made the accusation that Walz is getting a kickback over the weekend.
So millions and millions of taxpayer dollars have just disappeared.
Yeah, millions and millions of taxpayer dollars have disappeared.
And how do you think the government let this go on for so long without doing anything?
Because Walz is getting a kickback. You know he is. He's sitting in a mansion. We had a $6 billion deficit. You know what these senators did? They came out and blamed it on Donald J. Trump. Donald J. Trump did nothing. Nothing wrong. All these people, these Democrats, are blaming everything on Donald Trump when they can't hold our governor accountable in the state of Minnesota.
Yeah, Donald Trump doesn't live here. He's not in charge of all these Somalians. It's really easy to figure out the fraud. All you have to do is go to one of these businesses and see that no one is working in there and there's no children in there. It's very easy to figure out the fraud, but yet Governor Walz, the people working for him, couldn't figure it out.
Nope, they couldn't until the federal government pressured them.
So they couldn't figure it out, or they didn't want to figure it out? Smart money is on the ladder, just in case you're a betting man. On the way, officials are still trying to avoid this story as best they can. You got so many mainstream media outlets silenced, and the biggest newspaper in Minnesota, they had a front page story yesterday, and spoiler alert, had nothing to do with the fraud. Is the Minnesota what the Minnesota's premier Minnesota Star Tribune, are they covering for Tim Walz? Spoiler alert, yes. Yes, they absolutely are. I'll tell you who's covering for Tim Walz when we get back. It's 9:51. This is Super Talk 99.7 WTN. If you're thinking about replacing your HVAC system, it makes sense to do it right now with my friends at Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. What's up? It's Chris Hand. Right now, there are real savings on the table that you want to take advantage of. The federal 25C tax credit can put up to $2,000 back in your pocket on a new central AC and furnace, or up to $3,200 if you go with a high-efficiency heat pump. Those credits expire on December 31st. You only got a couple more days to take advantage of that. On top of those savings, those federal tax credits, you can get TVA Energy Right rebates stacked on top worth hundreds more on high-efficiency systems. Then, Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling said, no, you're not saving enough money. We want to save you more money. So they're going to add another $1,000 off on any new HVAC replacement, 15 SEER or higher. So if you're keeping score at home, that's federal credits, that's TVA rebates, that's Busy Bee savings, all working together. But you only have a couple days to act. So call my friends at Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling today, 615-775-7833. That's 615-775-7833. Or find them online, busybeehvac.com.
Selling your home can be stressful, but it doesn't have to be. Get a guaranteed offer from Mark Spain Real Estate. There are no showings, no open houses, no stress. Work with the #1 real estate team in the U.S. and close with confidence. Go to markspain.com today.
Up ahead, remember that story about the woman who was seen in the mouth of a shark off the coast of California? I've got an update for you on that one. Also, if you're still writing paper checks, maybe you want to get some lessons on paying your bills online instead. We've got that and more at 10 o'clock here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I haven't written a paper check in years.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah. You're okay then.
My wife handles the paper checks.
There you go.
But I'll tell you what. That's just another step towards digital currency and the mark of the beast.
Uh-huh.
And everybody knows it.
Yes. Agreed.
Sam is nodding in agreement as well.
Yeah.
Yep. Everybody knows it. How will we be able to pay our Somali daycares if we don't have paper checks? Nick Shirley, he's been at the epicenter of news for the past couple days. And Godspeed to this kid, man. He is making plenty of enemies, but the right kind of enemies. These are the enemies that you want to make. The grift, the fraud, the waste, the abuse that he's exposing is unbelievable. He exposed $110 million in fraud in one day. And he went to Minneapolis and he exposed child care centers with no children. He exposed health care centers that weren't selling health care. He exposed non-emergency medical transportation that weren't driving anyone to non-emergency medical visits, like the dentist's office. And in one day, he exposed $110 million. Nick Shirley wants to see some accountability, and he said so yesterday on Fox News.
Yeah, there better be change. People are demanding it. The investigations have been launched just from that video alone. And so there better be change because, like I said, we work way too hard to be paying taxes. We work way too hard to be not knowing where our money's going. And at the end of the day, people in the government, they work for us. We don't work for them. And so it's their responsibility to hold these people accountable. And so if there's not something that's happened, people are going to be very frustrated. And so if President Trump's watching this, it's time to really get down to nitty-gritty and to make a difference in this place of Minnesota that is pretty much like Somaliland right now.
That was Nick Shirley. Does that not give you hope for the future of this country when a 23-year-old kid is going out there and doing the work that legacy media has avoided for years upon years upon years? This kid says, no, I'm just going to do it myself. And when you think about Nick Shirley at 23 years old and you realize that there are thousands upon thousands, millions of kids in that same age group watching this reporting, seeing all this go down, it does. It gives me hope for the future. We'll talk more about the fraud scandal in Minnesota on the way. Believe it or not, there's still a lot more to get to on the Chris Hand Show on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
WWTN, Hendersonville, Nashville, from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling Studios.
And the Mark Spain Real Estate WTN Newsroom.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It's now 10 o'clock, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. On January 1st, Tennessee will become the first state in the nation to have a public domestic offender registry. Here's Channel 4's Holly Thompson.
Now, this is all part of Savannah's Law. It's named after former Robertson County Sheriff's Deputy Savannah Puckett. She was found shot to death inside her burning home back in 2022. Well, the man convicted of killing her was her ex-boyfriend.
And his name is James Kahn, a repeat offender with a history of domestic assaults. Kahn also suffocated Puckett's dog before setting her home on fire. He has pleaded guilty, serving a life sentence. Also beginning on Thursday, the creation of the Centralized Immigration Enforcement Division, which will coordinate with the Trump administration on the president's immigration policies. Another part of that law imposes a Class E felony charge on any Tennessee official who supports or adopts sanctuary city policies in violation with state law. One person is dead, another injured after a shooting behind a shopping center on Bell Road early on Sunday morning. Channel 4's Holly Thompson says Angel Lucatero and Devin Hill claim that the man who died reached for his weapon first. They say this was a case of self-defense.
It happened in the parking lot right near a nightclub and bar on Bell Road at Murfreesboro Pike. Police have not yet released the name of the man who was killed. 3 others were in that parking lot at the time. One of them was injured.
Lucatero and Hill have both been charged. This is not going to be good news for some of you. The writing may be on the wall for Americans who still use paper checks to pay their bills as the Federal Reserve explores whether to do away with them. NBC's Priscilla Thompson.
The Federal Reserve announced it's considering overhauling or even winding down its check processing services. In a recent notice, the Fed writing, over time, check use has steadily declined. Digital payment methods have grown in availability and use, and check fraud has risen. They're still asking for input from the public, but whatever they decide to do could have an impact on consumers.
One Fed board member did write a dissent saying that checks remain an important option for, especially seniors who struggle with new technology. And an update to a story we brought you last week about a woman who was dragged away by a shark as she was swimming off the coast of California. Investigators say that her remains have now surfaced on the beach, still wearing an electromagnetic band that was meant to ward off sharks. Erica Fox is her name. She was a triathlete who was in the water with 13 other members of her swim club when the others reported seeing her in the mouth of the shark as it dove down into the water. That's the latest news. Weather is up next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
That's Joan Jones in the newsroom. It is 10:03 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. The board is frozen, so we're jumping right back into content. No commercials. God is good. Listen, there's silver linings to things, and this is one of those silver linings. So we've been talking about Nick Shirley and the fraud that's been taking place in Minnesota. You know about it. We know about it. It seems like everybody except for the mainstream media knows about it, and they're having a hard time ignoring the issue that is staring them in the face, which is the fraud in Minnesota. Nick Shirley saying yesterday on Fox News he hopes to see some accountability.
Yeah, there better be change. People are demanding it. The investigations have been launched just from that video alone. And so there better be change because, like I said, we work way too hard to be paying taxes. We work way too hard to be not knowing where our money's going. And at the end of the day, the people in the government, they work for us. We don't work for them.
Amen.
And so it's their responsibility to hold these people accountable. And so if there's not something that's happened, people are going to be very frustrated. And so if President Trump's watching this, it's time to really get down to nitty gritty and to make a difference in this place of Minnesota that is pretty much like Somaliland right now.
And one of the places that I would suggest the president starts investigating and the FBI starts investigating and the House Oversight Committee asks questions about would be, why is it that all of these Somali-run child care and adult care centers in Minnesota were maxing out donations to a Somali candidate in Washington? Ari Hoffman exposed this over the weekend. He was just looking at the payroll. He's looking at the data. And he's like, oh, Sunshine Child Care Center, Inc. donated $1,000. Minnesota Best Child Care, Inc. donated $1,000. They're all maxing out donations to Somali candidates in the state of Washington. Are they taking the taxpayer dollars and then rerouting it out the door to get more Somalis elected? It sure seems that way. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about the media silence and more on the way. It's 10:05 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It's 10:08 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? It's Chris Hand. You can find me on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, True Social, at Chris Hand on air. Hit the follow button. I will follow back. Appreciate you guys doing so. And you can find all of the videos that we've been discussing as well on my Twitter account. I'm a retweeting machine. I like the retweet. It's my favorite. I don't like to add context. I just hit the retweet. It's easier. But then everything we talk about is always there on my Twitter account for you. We've been talking a lot about Nick Shirley. It's the biggest story in the country. How could you not talk about it? 0889 says, just wondering, who's pulling the strings on Tampon Tim? Nobody knows. Who's pulling this?
If they are, they're definitely tampon strings.
That's a nasty one. I know who's covering for him. I do know that. The legacy media. It's disgusting, man. You look at the data. Mediaite put this together. A review of MS Now and CNN's broadcast since December 18th, when prosecutors claimed the fraud operation was much larger than previously reported, shows it has not been mentioned a single time by either outlet since then. This is according to Mediaite. Again, legacy media chooses to ignore. What they're choosing to ignore is every bit as insidious as the lies and the hoaxes that they choose to tell you about. And everybody knows it. There are the lies where they say, Donald Trump's losing a step. Donald Trump, his mental faculties are going down. Or they're lies where Biden's running circles around everybody. There are lies like that. But then there's lies by omission. And the lies by omission are almost worse. And we've seen zero stories since December 18th on MS Now, MSNBC, and CNN's broadcasts about the Somali fraud. Then the legacy media is not doing it. Is the local media doing it? Nope. Fun fact: the biggest media newspaper in Minnesota is the Minnesota Star-Tribune. They don't have a story about this on the front page. They don't have nothing about Nick Shirley. I mean, I'm looking at it right now, front page. Can you put that up on the screen for me? This is a front page of the Minnesota Star-Tribune. Hey, there's a New Year's special right now in case you want to get lied to and pay for it. Did you see that? 80% off. Is anybody going to? No, don't do it. So anyway, you're on the Minnesota Star-Tribune, and I'm like, okay, the biggest story in Minnesota today, don't you know? Nick Shirley. Nope. Their lead is 40 years ago, Hormel workers walked off the job, and Austin would never be the same. Okay, but it's the lead politics story, right? Sort of. The lead politics story says key source says story that prompted Trump tirade against Somalis is erroneous. That's their lead politics story.
It is erroneous, but for a different reason.
You know, it's funny that they say it's erroneous because this is about the money going to the terror network Al-Shabaab. Because their headline says, key source says story that prompted Trump tirade against Somalis is erroneous. But then the sub headline says, the writers of a City Journal story alleging the connection between Minnesota fraud and Al-Shabaab say they stand by their story. They stand by it. It's totally erroneous. What are you thinking? The only legacy media headline you'll see about the fraud is going to be in the defense of Somalis. Make no mistake about it. If you find yourself on a mainstream media source and you find yourself reading a story about what's going on in Minnesota, they're going to be defending the fraudsters. They're going to be defending the perpetrators. Classic. Forbes is another example of that. They had a headline out. It says, FBI investigating alleged fraud scheme in Minnesota. Kash Patel says, amid attacks on Somali population. Amid attacks on Somali population. I'm sorry if you think that the truth is an attack, but it's not. It's just the truth. Sorry that you feel that way. This is what we're seeing. And despite the fraud being the number one story in the country, Minnesota's premier local media outlet, the Minnesota Star-Tribune, has zero stories listed on the front page. The Minnesota Star-Tribune, their CEO, he goes by the name of Steve Grove. Do you know what Steve Grove does in his spare time? He puts up yard signs for Walz, for Tim Walz. He's a big Tim Walz guy. Big Tim Walz guy. Weird. Are they all getting kickbacks? Are they all covering for everybody? It feels like it, doesn't it? It feels Feels rather gross. And then when you get the head officials in the state talking about it, they're again looking out for the downtrodden Somalis who are making, millions upon millions of dollars at child care facilities that don't have children. They're making millions upon millions of dollars transporting non-people, like invisible people, to non-emergency medical appointments. They're making millions upon millions of dollars in the healthcare sector while not providing any healthcare. So when you finally get a head official in the state of Minnesota to talk about what's going on, they're obviously going to defend the Somalis. And that's what we saw on full display over the weekend when Lieutenant Governor Flanagan, who happens to also be the top Democrat candidate for Senate in 2026 in Minnesota, addressed the fraud over the weekend. And when she addressed the fraud, she made sure that she was wearing her hijab. I don't know how to tell you this, but this is the opposite of assimilation. This is what it looks like when a state has been conquered. The lieutenant governor bends the knee and wears a hijab and says this.
Assalamu alaikum. My name's Peggy Flanagan. I am the Lieutenant Governor of Minnesota, and I'm really honored and humbled to be here with all of you today. I am incredibly clear that the Somali community is part of the fabric of the state of Minnesota. I think about my friendship with Nimco. We've been friends for almost 25 years. And when I think of being part of Minnesota and growing up here, the Somali community has always been a part of my Minnesota. So I want to just encourage the community to know that we're with you. We've got your back. I am here shopping today, and just encourage other folks to show up, support our Somali businesses, support our immigrant neighbors. And I know that things are scary right now. And just know that there are more people who are looking out for you. There are more people who are here to support you than you know.
Things are so scary right now. We have to support our local Somali businesses. That is, of course, unless it's a child care facility, they're not accepting any children. That is, of course, unless it's a healthcare business, they're not going to give you health care. And don't even think about supporting the Somali businesses where they're transporting people to non-emergency medical appointments because they're booked. They're full. They're full. It's a scary time. It's a scary time. The child care centers are full. It's scary. So just please support your local Somalis. They're the fabric of. They built Minnesota. They built the country. We're on stolen land. If it wasn't for the Somalis, we'd have no America. This is what we get yelled at us over and over and over again, and it's comical at this point. She says, I'm down here supporting local Somali businesses. Did you have to wear the hijab or they wouldn't do business with you? Is that part of the deal? I know that's part of the deal in Dearborn, Michigan. I know that's part of the deal there because we lived there, and we were told if we went to the farmer's market in Dearborn that my wife would have to wear a hijab if she would want to get any service. Is that also happening in Minnesota? I don't know. I'm just asking questions. I'm surely going to get called all sorts of names for asking those questions. They're just the classics. You'll get called a racist. You'll get called a bigot. And none of that means anything anymore because they've completely devalued the terms. Nick Shirley was talking about this on Fox News yesterday. Nick, you are going to be called a racist and bigot for this. What do you have to say for yourself? Obviously, you're evil. Obviously. So what would you say to that?
Governor Tim Walz is saying that you and others that are out there trying to expose this, you're doing it because you're white supremacists. What is your response to him?
Yeah, Tim wants votes. There are entire apartment complexes where white people have been pushed out of these apartment complexes because Somalians have taken over and they're inside of these towns like Minneapolis where they can go get votes from these people. And if you have 100,000 people that will vote for you because you're going to enable and let this stuff happen, and because you're going to call a white person racist for calling out facts, this is what's going to happen to a state like Minnesota. Minnesotans, they say Minnesota nice, but they are very upset. And I totally understand why they're upset because they don't have a governor who's actually working for them. He's actually working against them.
Yeah, and they don't have mainstream media willing to report on what's happening down there. They have to rely on an independent investigative journalist who's only 23 years old to expose all of the stuff that you would hope, if we had a proper press in this country, would have exposed on their own. But no, we get Nick Shirley. And I'm grateful for him, make no mistake about it. But it does seem like the mainstream media in this country has just completely abdicated their duties. And that's putting it lightly. 615-737-9986. Go to Jody in Nashville. What's up, Jody? How are you?
I'm good. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. What's up?
I had a quick question about this situation on the Somali daycare centers. Is there not a regulatory board? I assume I cannot just go up and say, you know what, I'm going to start a daycare center. I mean, surely there's a government agency or entity that has to go out and inspect and make sure it's got safety parameters, this, that, and the other. In this video reporting by Nick Shirley, right? It's 42 minutes. It's on my X page at Chris Hand on Air. Everybody should watch it. There are no checks. There are no balances. Nobody is going to these locations to make sure that it's safe. Nobody's going to make sure that everything's on the up and up. In fact, they exposed one daycare who got shut down for fraud, I believe it was. And they literally opened up a new daycare at the same address with a new LLC the very next day after being shut down, changed the name, didn't even replace the sign, and are now receiving millions of dollars in federal grants for the kids that they're allegedly taking care of. There are no checks and balances. Yeah, and that can't be the only state or city that's having this done. And I cannot believe that the agencies aren't being held accountable for the fact that they allowed this.
Oh.
There's so many people out there that should not be opening daycares, regardless of the fraud and whatnot. I mean, there's child safety.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, Jody. You're absolutely right, man. And it doesn't seem like anybody in Minnesota gives a damn. I appreciate the call. 615-737-9986. We'll take more of your calls on the way. Jody mentioned it, though. He's like, there's got to be other states doing this exact same thing. Yeah, I tend to agree. And we're going to talk about which state is next in the crosshairs when it comes to these frauds. There's got to be 1,000 investigative journalists out there licking their chops, trying to figure out where is the next state to go to and do an expose like this, especially after they see the view count. Over 110 million views on Nick Shirley's reporting. Unbelievable work by Nick. And we'll talk about what state should be next in the crosshairs when we return. It's 10:21. This is Super Talk, 99.7 WTN. Hey, what's up?
Message comes from Viking, committed to exploring.
Hey, what's up? It's Chris Hand here from my friends at USS United Structural Systems. We talk about these guys all the time. If you need foundation repair or if you need waterproofing, these are the pros, and you should stop kicking the can down the road because the problems aren't going to fix themselves. We had rain roll through the area last night, and if you have waterproofing issues in your basement or in your crawl space, that rain is going to be keeping you up because you know exactly where it's going, and you know that it's causing some damage beneath your feet. If it's getting into your crawl space, that water is leading to moisture, which is leading to mold. Your family is breathing that in. That's gross. It could be even worse than that. It could be leading to wood rot, foundation issues. Your house could be falling apart. Don't let that happen. Call the guys at USS. They're pros. They've been doing this work since 1994. They have 30,000 satisfied customers. They'll leave you with a transferable warranty, so that way when you leave the home, the warranty can stay. That's how confident they are in the work that they do. When you get USS at your house, you're getting a pro. You're not getting a sales guy worried about his quota. They have no problem telling you if it's a quick, cheap, easy fix. They also have no problem coming down with a detailed plan on how to fix what's going on in your crawl space, in your basement, with your foundation. When it comes to your home, don't kick the can down the road. Trust the pros at United Structural Systems. 615-488-7855, 615-488-7855, or find them online, USSTN.com.
On Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Joan. Jones is 1026 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Real quick, we're going to talk about what states we think are going to be caught in the crosshairs of this migrant fraud. Would you call it migrant fraud, Somali fraud? There's a few that are at the top of the list.
I'm going to call it land pirating.
Land pirates? Are you sure about that? Sorry, it's dumb. That was a bad joke. Sorry. I apologize. There's been a lot of focus on Tim Walz, though. And a lot of people want to see Tim Walz in silver bracelets. And people say, okay, but what about that lady who also happens to be a Somali that besmirches America every chance that she gets, even though she's been given more opportunity by this country than she ever would have gotten in her home country of Somali?
Whose net worth has gone up 3,500% in the last 2 years?
Listen, bro, that's a conspiracy theory. If you're worth $30,000 and you get yourself in a good credit union and you put that in there and you're getting that interest, you too could turn $30,000 into $30 million. So enough of the nonsense.
Is that credit union called Al-Shabaab by chance?
I'm not familiar with it. The Bank of Al-Shabaab. Savings and Loan.
They have a BBB rating, but it stands for Better Blow Up.
Oh, jeez. So a lot of attention's on Tim Walz. But Ilhan Omar is also in the crosshairs here. In fact, her husband's venture capital firm has reportedly erased the names of 9 officers and advisors who also happen to be in the Obama administration. They removed them from the website. They say it's a suspicious move that comes amid pressure over massive fraud in Minnesota. Breitbart has the story. Omar was the one who introduced legislation critics say paved the way for what the feds have called the largest fraud of the pandemic, the New York Post reported on Saturday. Her husband, Tim Minette, not to be confused with her brother, that's her ex-husband. Her husband, Tim Minette, launched Rose Lake Capital in 2022, and its reported value quickly went from almost nothing to almost $25 million. The Post reported this between September and October, with federal prosecutors announcing charges to 8 more individuals, including 6 of Somali descent, for their roles in the welfare scheme. The names and bios of Rose Lake Capital's 9 officers and advisors were removed from their website. None of them were charged in the fraud, but those names include lobbyist and former Obama ambassador to Bahrain, Adam Areli, former senator and Obama ambassador to China, Max Baucus, DNC finance chair associate Alex Hoffman, former DNC treasurer William Durow, and former ex-CEO of Amalgamated Bank Keith Metzrich, who once described the bank as the institutional bank of the Democratic Party. I'm sure that this is all just a coincidence. 100% sure. Right? It couldn't be anything else. Couldn't be. Breitbart reported in September that Omar's net worth rose from $51,000 to $30 million in 1 year. but she has denied being worth that much. The Democrat's surge in wealth is due to Vinette's, her husband's, two businesses, which are a winery and a venture capital firm, the article reads. Meanwhile, the $1 billion in welfare fraud linked to the Somali community in Minnesota has people asking what Omar knew and when she knew it, per Breitbart News. Reports say that Omar has many close ties to organizations, businesses, and individuals named in the various cases that have uncovered massive fraud of Minnesota's overly generous welfare schemes, cases that total up to more than $1 billion in stolen taxpayer money. That's on the low side of the estimates. Some estimates have them closer to $9 billion in fraud. For example, Omar has held events and parties at the Minneapolis eatery named Safari Restaurant, which was an establishment that has been named in some of the investigations looking into the fraud. The owners of this restaurant, Salim Saeed and Amy Bach, have already been convicted in the Feeding Our Future case that defrauded $250 million from the state in childhood food aid. What is going on in Minnesota? Which state is next? We'll talk about that. Plus, we'll take your phone calls. Bobby, I see you on the line. Hang on, man. We'll get to you next. 615-737-9986. It's 1030. This is Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Chris Hand Show on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It's 10:37 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? It's Chris Hand. Show's brought to you by our friends at Better Water LLC. You can find me on all the social media platforms. The big one that I use the most, it'd be two of them, Twitter and Instagram. And then I do the TikTok, and I do a YouTube page, and, the other ones, True Social. I'm there for the Trump posting.
Your age isn't high enough to be calling it the TikTok.
At Chris Hand on Air if you want to follow me on the TikTok.
Just start calling it the talk at this point.
The talk of the town. I'm on Instagram and Twitter as well, at Chris Hand on Air. Appreciate everybody watching us over on YouTube. The chat's jumping today. YouTube chat is absolutely jumping. They're running off the trolls. They're running off the trolls pretty fast this morning. We like the trolls. Huge fan of the trolls. Trolls are welcome. Hit like and subscribe.
You can't bounce a ball without, throwing it off of something.
It's true. It's true. All right, so we got a lot to get to. 615-737-9986. If you want to join the show, 615-737-9986. Bobby in Nashville has been waiting a minute. Bobby, I appreciate you holding as long as you did, man. What do you got?
No problem, brother. Here's the deal. I don't want to wish everybody a happy Christmas. I want to wish them a Merry Christmas. So, yeah. I don't understand it, man. The money that let me give you this. Let me lay this out to you real quick. I used to do the lady that used to do the acupuncture, my acupuncturist, little Chinese lady. She's 74-year-old now. She retired. She told me years ago, and this is coming from her. She's been, she come over to this country at a very young age. She was legal, worked hard, her and her husband. She said, and I'm going to quote her, "You American people are very stupid." And I said, "Well, why do you say that?" She said, "They don't want to work. They're lazy." She said, "If they had to go to China like I did when I was raised up, if I didn't get in line with my little metal tin to get food at 4 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, me or my brother didn't eat." And, man, it's crazy. And what makes me mad more than anything, the fraud is going on. Look, brother, I got audited 3 years ago for $125 from the IRS. And they was coming after me for the interest. It's crazy.
Well, this is the thing that it infuriates me the most, Bobby. It's like if you or I did a fraction of what's being exposed in Minneapolis and Minnesota, just like 1/100th, we would be raked over the coals. We would lose everything.
I'm going to lay this on you. I'm not going to take too much of your time. Appreciate your show, everything you guys do. I got my wife and her crew listening to you at her work. I won't tell where she's worked. She's liable to get fired. But anyway, the deal of it is, man, this fraud has been going on for a long time.
Yep.
It's just now been exposed. All we need to do, and think about this, each state needs a task force to go in and just look at the fraud on the food stamps, EBT card, all of this stuff.
Yep.
I mean, it's crazy. But the fraud's been going on because, I'm going to lay this on you real quick. There's a young lady I know. She used to clean houses on the side. She did pretty well. She was working for a guy on the side that used to run in West Nashville. If you go out I-40 and get off at the Charlotte Pike entrance, get off at Charlotte Park, there was a guy out there that ran the Howard Johnson's Motel. He took it over after, he bought it from them. But he bought it from them, from our taxpayer money. He told her, and I was surprised he told her this, that the way you do it is he put everything, the government give him a tax-free stuff for 7 years. He had to pay no taxes. All the money he took in, he didn't have to pay taxes on that. He got a return on his money. Well, after the 7 years, he flipped it over to his wife. Okay? And after those 7 years, they flip it over to the son. So there you are, 21 years of pre-tax money. And just look at our veterans, man. That makes me more mad than anything. The money that come in, and they swindled everybody out of in Minnesota, that money should have went to our veterans.
100%.
I mean, I'm telling you, brother, but hey, that's my take, man, and you guys have a good day. Thanks for taking my call.
No, I'm with you 100%, Bobby, and I appreciate you calling in. 615-737-9986 if you want to join the show. I think that's where a lot of the frustration comes from. I mean, the older generations look at it and say, we didn't get that handout. The veteran community, I mean, after the 4 years of Biden where you're getting skipped in line via illegal aliens to only find out that you're getting tax-free loans for businesses that aren't aren't doing any of the services you claim to be doing, and then you're getting federal grants to complete these services, you're raking in so much money. So much. The older generations get mad at the younger generations, the Gen Zers. Nick Shirley, who exposed a lot of this, $110 million in fraud in one day in his 42-minute video. $110 million in one day. Nick Shirley's 23. You look at this younger generation, especially the younger white males of our society. You weren't allowed to go to college. You didn't check the right boxes on the diversity application. You're not getting a small business loan because you don't check the right boxes on your diversity application. You go down the line, the way you've been discriminated against. And then you see these Somalis who, if you had done, again, a fraction of what they did, you would have been raked over the coals. Infuriating. And the thing that makes it the most infuriating is we look left, we look right, and we go, is anybody going to be held accountable for this stuff? And I don't have a lot of faith. I don't know. Maybe you have more faith than I do. 615-737-9986. When the FBI says we're looking into it and we're surging the area with investigators, do you feel confident in that? I have a hard time feeling confident in that. Dan Bongino just left the FBI because he felt like he could do more good as a podcaster than he could as the deputy director of the FBI. And I don't think it's because Dan went in there and decided he's gonna work for the machine now. I think Dan went in there and realized he's fighting against the machine, and he can't get anything done. And he packed up his stuff and he left. Not worth it. That's crazy, man. That's crazy. Bobby said we need a task force in every state. I agree with that. I think we do need a task force in every state, though. When you look at how some of these states are run, you'd have to wonder who are they going to put in charge of the task force. Then you find yourself in these similar issues. Like if Minnesota is running their own task force, we're not going to find out about what we found out via Nick Shirley's reporting from that task force. If California runs their own task force, we're not going to find the fraud. If Massachusetts is doing their own task force, they're not going to rat themselves out. But we do need to start looking at other states. Make no mistake about it. And there are certain states with high Somali populations that should be looked at first. One of those being Maine. The Maine Department of Health and Human Services just canceled $1 million in Medicaid payments to a Somali-run healthcare organization after uncovering fraud. More Somali welfare fraud. And there are whistleblowers in Maine that are telling the story of what happened here at this healthcare service in Maine. And you got to say to yourself, okay, well, if this one is being exposed, how many more are doing it? Because it seems like this is so widespread that it can't just be this one healthcare service in Maine.
A Somali-led health services contractor is now under fire from the House Oversight Committee after a whistleblower made accusations of widespread fraud. That investigation now leading to new sanctions inside of Maine, cutting off some Medicaid payments, and now calls for Treasury Secretary Bessent to authorize the release of relevant bank records. News Nation's reporting is now being credited with shining a light on this scandal. Here's what Republican Congressman James Comer had to say about wanting more whistleblowers to come forward to expose fraud.
Well, first of all, I applaud News Nation for doing some tremendous investigative reporting. That's what we need for our congressional investigation to be successful. We have to have a curious media. We have to have whistleblowers, and we have to have documents turned over. And we've got whistleblowers coming forward. We welcome more whistleblowers in more states to come forward and reach out to the House Oversight Committee.
And News Nation's Rich McHugh is live with the very latest. So, Rich, what happens now?
Hi, Nicole. So, as you put it, there are two headlines here. One is federal, and one is from the state at the state level. On the federal level, the Health and Human Services, or House Oversight Committee, rather, has new scrutiny on this group in Maine. They're asking the Secretary of Treasury to essentially tell them if there are suspicious activity reports related to Gateway.
I mean, I'm grateful for the House Oversight Committee, and I think the investigations need to happen. But I also recall the House Oversight Committee saying, we're not going after Hunter Biden. We're going after Joe Biden and the Biden crime family. And we heard that over and over and over and over and over again. And James Comer came up empty-handed. Nothing. So, again, I hope and I pray that something comes from the House Oversight Committee, but I'm not going to count my chickens before they hatch. I think that would be silly to do. But, yeah, Maine needs to be looked at. Maine 100% needs to be looked at. Also, Columbus, Ohio needs to be looked at. There's been viral videos. This an elderly black woman. I don't know if you've seen the video. She's like, Nick Shirley, we need you in Columbus because what the Somalis are doing in Minnesota, Nick, they're doing here in Columbus. And it's true. The Somali population in Columbus, Ohio, they're committing the same kind of fraud. And they are being surged right now via ICE. Fox News reported that over the weekend.
What's the latest you're seeing there in the Buckeye State?
Well, we were able to kick this operation off on December 16th. And with this operation, we've had a lot of success very quickly. Our officers have gone out and truly arrested the worst of the worst. We have arrested gang members, murderers, and rapists. We've arrested people with sex crime charges. We've arrested people with DWI charges. And we've been able to go after these people that have been in this country illegally.
I'm grateful for that. And I don't want to discount that. I mean, they got some bad guys off the street. Yes, high praise. But again, that's the low-hanging fruit, right? The real meat and potatoes behind the scenes is the fraud. Ohio attorney Mihek Cook, who I don't know if you know this, she was up for that senator's seat in Ohio a couple months back when Vance won the vice presidency. She was up for Senator Vance's seat. She's very, very smart, and she was sitting down with Breitbart to talk about the fraud that's actually taking place in Columbus, Ohio, via the Somalis. This is Ohio attorney Mihek Cook.
So these individuals tried to report the fraud that was happening in Ohio, and then eventually came to me to say that we're watching providers rubber stamp paperwork for home health. So in Ohio, and there's many states like this, Pennsylvania and other states too, where you can go in and you can say my aging parent needs a home health care and I want to provide it. So the state will, as long as a doctor has approved it, continue to pay you. It could be for 10 hours, 12 hours, up to 24 when it's critical care. So you could sit at home without caring for an elderly parent who really doesn't need it, make about $75,000 to $90,000 a year. Now you add two parents, that's $180,000. Now you add your in-laws, $250,000. You continue to add this and you wonder, what are the services being provided? So a lot of providers came and said, fraud is occurring because we said we weren't going to rubber stamp this paperwork, so they went to other providers. Their home healthcare network saying, we'll make it worth your while. Well, sounds like a kickback to me. So we really need to investigate the Medicaid system and how much it's increased since the Somalian population came and who really needs critical care, because that's meant for our disabled, our elderly, and people who really need it, not to just live off our system. And that's what's happening in Ohio. I think it's ridiculous. I think it's despicable, but authorities are now looking at it from the Attorney General's office to the U.S. Attorney's office. I flagged them all because this is Ohio tax dollars and we have to take it seriously.
We do. We 100% have to take it seriously. That was Ohio attorney Mihek Cook. So, I mean, we could go down a list, right? Like, if you got Somalis in your state, you probably got fraud in your state. If you got Democrats in your state, you probably got fraud in your state, though. Spoiler alert. And in fact, when you hear the fraud that's going on in California, it's not necessarily Somali related, but the fraud that's coming out around their homeless programs, insane. We'll talk about that next. 10:51. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right, drivers, Robertson County got a crash blocking the right lane 24 eastbound there in Maxey Road. Then in Williamson County, a crash. This one on the left shoulder, 65 northbound right there at 840. President Trump just commented on targeting a facility in Venezuela. He says there was some drug trafficking going on. We'll tell you about it at 11 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Are you sure they weren't just fishermen, Ken? Or farmers?
I don't know.
Tending to their crops?
Well, they may have been farmers tending to crops.
Just so happen to be coca leaves?
Just depends on what the crop was.
Leave the farmers alone, damn it. I'm waiting. I'm waiting for the mainstream media headlines. It's 10:57 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Show's brought to you by Better Water LLC. You can listen to us on iHeart, tune in, the FM dial. You can watch us on YouTube and Rumble. Hit like, hit subscribe. The YouTube chat's been jumping all morning. Shout out to the YouTube chat. Appreciate you guys. Hit like. Do it for the kids. I know Christmas is over, but they still got birthdays, and we need to get those likes up if they want birthday gifts. So appreciate you doing so. We've been talking about fraud in all these states. We had our friend Bobby said we need a task force in every state. We need a task force in every. Yes, we do. But in the blue states, it shouldn't be handled by the state government because then we wouldn't be able to trust them. A lot of fraud being exposed across the country. In California, Republican Congressman Kevin Kiley, I know, Republican in California. He's like a unicorn out there. He has been ringing the alarm, on the fraud found in the homeless industrial complex in California.
Yeah, so this came from the nonpartisan state auditor, which essentially christened California the fraud capital of the United States. With the number of agencies classified as high risk, meaning there's rampant fraud, abuse, mismanagement, it has doubled during Gavin Newsom's tenure from 4 agencies to 8 agencies. So we're talking about all kinds of fraud when it comes to Medicaid, when it comes to SNAP benefits, when it comes to uninsurance benefits. And all of this, by the way, comes on top of the incredible fraud and waste and mismanagement that we already knew about. The high-speed train where there's been no track laid in 17 years, spending $18 billion. The $32 billion during COVID at a minimum of unemployment insurance fraud. The $650 million on a canceled 911 next generation system that was canceled because the technology wasn't there. And so California is absolutely, under this governor, the fraud capital of the United States. And this is exactly the model that Governor Newsom wants to take to the rest of the country.
Yeah, that's their front runner. That's their guy. The used car salesman out of California, Gavin Newsom. Maybe you're more familiar with him as the host of the Gavcast, the popular podcast.
He's not Norman Bates?
No. You know, it's fun. We get more views on our YouTube channel than Gavin Newsom gets on his. And we're not the governor of California. He had a guest on. Maybe you've heard of him. The first black president in American history, Barack Obama. And one of our live streams got more views than that podcast. It's insane. But the fraud will continue until morale improves.
Well, you got the governor's attention because he responded to you saying, quote, Kiley is wrong. The auditor's high-risk list does not allege wrongdoing or billions in currency lost. It is a management tool used to target complex programs for heightened oversight and corrective action. Representative Kiley's claims are flat out false and misrepresent both the state auditor's report and the facts. Quick, your reaction to this?
I'd invite anyone to read the audit. And by the way, there have been other audits, like the one that found that $24 billion was spent on homelessness, and they lost track of the money.
That's fine, though, right? That's no big deal. Aren't they running like a $6 billion deficit right now in California?
It's bad.
I think it's like a $6 billion deficit, and they lost $24 billion. He wants to do that to the entire country. I don't know. I don't see it. We'll get to some of your phone calls on the way. It's 11:01. Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Looks like we're in for a hard freeze tonight. Tell you about that during the full forecast in 5 minutes. President Trump says the U.S. military has targeted a facility in Venezuela that could be related to drug trafficking. He made the comments during an interview with WABC Radio in New York.
They have a big plant or a big facility where they send where the ships come from. 2 nights ago, we knocked that out. So we hit them very hard.
So this would be the first known land strike by the U.S. in Venezuela under Trump's recent counter-narcotics campaign. As Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu prepared to meet with President Trump in Florida today, one country now targeting not only those two allies, but the entire West in their latest declaration, as we hear from ABC's James Longman.
President Pezeshkian says his country is in a full-scale war with the U.S., Israel and Europe, saying the West does not want Iran to stand on its feet. He also claimed the military is stronger than it was when the U.S. and Israel targeted Iran's nuclear sites over the summer. You remember back in June, President Trump ordered an attack on 3 of Iran's nuclear facilities using bunker buster bombs and cruise missiles.
Investigators are revealing what they say the person who allegedly planted pipe bombs at the Republican and Democratic national headquarters in 2021 told them. According to court filings, Brian Cole told investigators he mentioned President Trump's claims about the 2020 election. We get more from ABC's Olivia Rubin.
Well, allegedly saying he isn't an openly political person and denied that he was targeting Congress as it was certifying President Joe Biden's win. In fact, prosecutors say when asked why he targeted both headquarters, he said, "I really don't like either party at this point."
That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
It's 11:06 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? It's Chris Hand. Show's brought to you by our friends at Better Water LLC. Nobody wants gay frogs. BetterWater.com.
I don't like them putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay.
It's a reason. It's a reason. BetterWater.com. I'm getting one. We got it. You got to do it.
You're getting a gay frog?
No. No. I don't even know how you'd check. We're getting a water. We're gonna
See
get a
if it
water.
attends a pride parade.
Filter. I'm going to get a water filter. We got a lot to get to. A couple people waiting on the line to weigh in on everything we've been talking about. 615-737-9986. You're welcome to join the conversation as well. Let's start with Skip in Mount Juliet. What's up, Skip? How are you, man?
Good morning. Long-time listener, first-time caller, so thank you for taking my call.
Well, hey, thank you for calling in, man. I appreciate you listening. What's up?
Hey, last week you talked about the CDL drivers and the big trucks and doing all the
Yes, sir.
investigations into that. I just want to add that most of these people that have lost their CDLs can still get regular driver's license and drive box trucks and drive for rideshare companies.
Yeah, you're not lying, man. It's insane what's going on in the trucking industry. We had Danielle Chaffin on last week. She's my go-to expert for trucking and logistics, and she just exposed everything. I actually got a text earlier, and it was somebody said that they almost got into a wreck because there was what they thought was an illegal alien almost driving them off the road. I don't know if it was an illegal alien. They made the comment that the turban led them to believe such. I don't know. To each their own. You don't have to be an illegal alien to wear a turban.
Call that the swerving turban.
The swerving turban. 615-737-9986. Mike in Spring Hill, you're next on Super Talk. What's up, Mike?
Hey, Chris. Thanks for taking my call. Saw you at World Outreach about a month ago at the Christian Cultural Conference. You did a good job on the intros there.
Thank you. Yeah, they told me, they said, Chris, do you want to speak at the Christian the Culture and Christianity Conference? I said, absolutely. I said, what do you need me to do? They said just the announcements. I said, okay. Put me in, coach.
My question is, I haven't heard of any kind of movement to have a recall on Tim Walz.
Yep.
Have you or?
I have not heard that yet. They've tried to recall him before. Minnesota, it's a tight window, narrow on how they can do it. But it's doable. So under Minnesota law and the state constitution, I appreciate the call, Mike. Under Minnesota law and the state constitution, you can be subjected to recall, but the grounds are as follows: serious malfeasance, wrongdoing while performing duties; nonfeasance, deliberate failure to perform duties; or conviction of a serious crime while in office. With the third not being established yet, a conviction of a serious crime while in office, that leads us with the first two, malfeasance or nonfeasance. I think that you could make the case for both. Then from there, you got to start a petition. You actually only need 25 eligible voters to sign the petition in Minnesota, okay? Then you file that petition with the Minnesota Secretary of State. They confirm the 25 signatures and yada, yada, yada. Then it goes to the Minnesota Supreme Court for review. The Chief Justice evaluates whether the petition states legally sufficient grounds for recall. If it doesn't meet the legal standards for the malfeasance, nonfeasance, the recall does not proceed. If it does, a special master judge conducts a hearing to assess the factual evidence and reports back to the court. If the court then approves the petition, a formal recall signature drive is issued. Then petitioners have 90 days to collect signatures equal to 25% of the total votes cast in the last election. So you're going to need hundreds of thousands of signatures. If enough valid signatures are gathered, then the Secretary of State certifies them and a recall election is scheduled. A lot of steps. Is it doable? Yes. Is it going to happen? Probably not. There's a high bar. We'll see what happens. I don't know if you would do it right now, right? Because the re-election is on the way, right? Walz is up in 2026 anyway, isn't he? So to go through all that groundwork when he's going to be their main Democrat candidate, it almost seems like it would be, I don't know, maybe this is just me, but with the re-election of Tim Walz on the way, would you want them to be able to get another Democrat candidate in there who's squeaky clean? Or would you want to run against the Democrat candidate who has the fraud at his feet? I tend to think that the guy who's responsible for all the fraud is better for conservatives and better for Minnesotans to stay as the Democrat nominee. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. I'd be open to another line of thinking. 615-737-9996. Dave in Smyrna, you're up next. What's up, Dave? How you been, man?
What's up, man? It's your favorite Hebrew. How are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. So I don't know if you're a Sean Ryan watcher, but a few months ago there was a guy he had on, and the name escapes me, but if you were to Google Sean Ryan and then 70H, it's this whole episode where this guy is talking about how the Chinese have taken kratom and distilled it to the point where it's basically, you can get it at the gas station and it's as strong as fentanyl.
That's insane.
And it is ground zero for it is rural Maine.
It's ground zero for what? I'm sorry, I missed it.
For them producing this 70H stuff.
Okay.
And so not only do they have this, stuff that, like I said, I mean, it's the only difference between it and fentanyl is a molecule. They've got that going on, and they also have huge Bitcoin mining operations in these rural areas of Maine. And, this has the MSS and, the Chinese government fingerprints all over it. So, it's not as if it wasn't bad enough that you have to worry about Somalis sending stuff to Al-Shabaab. You've got the MSS and, the Chinese government basically creating this. I mean, you can walk into any gas station. The gas station that I go to every day. If you look behind the counter, there's this stuff. It says Opia. And it's literally gas station fentanyl.
That's insane.
Sean, I'm sorry, Chris. We listened to this episode on a car ride, and about every 5 minutes, my wife and I were turning around, looking at each other like, "Are you freaking kidding me?"
And the crazy thing is, it doesn't even shock me. Like, I'm not even shocked by this stuff anymore. Are you even shocked by it?
You know what? I think that nothing the Chinese do really surprises me, but I think the scope of it is what shocked me. And the fact that, the Chinese aren't stupid. The fact that they decided to do it in rural Maine, of all places, the last place that anybody would think to look, it's a huge deal. And, I think we have as much to worry about from the MSS and everything that they're doing at the behest of the Chinese government as we do any terrorist network.
Yeah, I'm with you, Dave, and it's a crazy world out there, man. I appreciate the call. I'm going to look more into this 708 stuff, all right? Hey, Happy New Year to you too, brother. I like Dave, favorite Hebrew. That's an old school. You got to be here from day one to know the favorite Hebrew line.
Okay.
Yep, that's our favorite Hebrew. He's a good guy. You had a list of new laws that go into effect on January 1st. Yeah. Young Sam is very excited about this. There's a lot of new laws that are coming into effect on January 1, 2026, which is going to take me some time to get used to that. I'll be used to saying 2026 by July, August.
Dude, I turn 30 next year. Get over it.
Oh, man.
Yeah. It's traumatizing for me. But yeah, no, some quirky laws going in. And of course, California is front and center with that. California, full ban on thicker, reusable plastic shopping bags.
Thicker?
Building on prior restrictions, this law closes loopholes by prohibiting all plastic bags at checkout, including the heavier ones that are marketed as reusable. Shoppers will need to bring their own or pay for paper alternatives. Big paper at it again.
Big paper. We don't like big paper. Did you see the viral video of Lane Kiffin? Did you see that?
Yes, he didn't have any bags.
So he didn't want to pay for the bags at the grocery store. I don't know where this was, but he didn't want to pay for the bags at the grocery store, so he walked out with the basket.
Yeah.
He brought the basket home, and he's like, how am I supposed to carry these groceries if they don't want to give me a bag?
I mean, what else are you supposed to do with a $91 million salary at LSU?
I'm not paying for bags.
Exactly.
You don't become a millionaire by paying for bags.
I'm shocked he got his own groceries.
It was based. Everybody was giving him grief for it. I was like, I like that. I like that vibe.
Yeah. No. California, again, food delivery apps must give cash refunds for wrong or undelivered orders.
Cash refunds?
Yeah. Can't just offer credits. They must provide full refunds to your original payment method if the order is botched.
Interesting.
They also have to offer human customer service if bots fail.
Okay, I'm not against that. Okay.
They're like 80-20. 80% nonsense, 20% they do something sensible. You'll like this one. Diwali becomes an official state holiday in California. The Hindu Festival of Lights is now recognized statewide, allowing public schools and colleges to close and state employees potential time off, even if the observed the Monday after it falls on a weekend. So if it falls on a Saturday, you can take that Monday off.
Well, the H-1B visa holders in the state will rejoice. And I don't know. I don't know much about Diwali. I'm sure it's a wonderful time, and people like it a lot. I just constantly think about The Office and Michael Scott thinking that he was going to a costume party, and he had two heads, but it was on Velcro, and his girlfriend showed up in a cheerleader outfit. Yeah. And she's like, "You told me this was a costume party," and then she looks at him, and the head is already off, and he's just in his regular suit now, and she's still dressed as a cheerleader.
Yeah, semantics matter.
That's all That's all I can picture when I think about Diwali.
Also, California, ban on declawing cats. It will now be illegal January 1st to declaw your felines, aligning with animal welfare trends, but standing out as a very specific pet-related rule.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Let's make it illegal to declaw your cats, but to chop the bits off your little boys, still totally good in California, correct?
Yeah, right. Their whole logic was that it's a lifetime of pain and suffering for the cat.
Huh. I don't know how we could apply that logic or reason to anything else.
Yeah. Must be non-transferable.
What the hell? So you can't declaw your cat, but you can neuter your kids.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, and then landlords must provide a working refrigerator and stove. Also, California. Rental units must include a functional fridge and stove in good working order unless the tenant explicitly agrees in writing to provide their own. Recalled appliances must be fixed or replaced within 30 days. That last part's the only thing I agree with. If you're renting, you shouldn't be responsible.
Yeah, you got to get the fridge and get the stove.
But your rent should also be reduced if it doesn't come with one. That's how you get deals. That's in my mind.
I'd rather just pay the rent.
Then also California, reduced or waived parking tickets for financial hardships. People can request lower fines or payment plans for parking tickets if they prove inability to pay due to homelessness or low income.
How are you getting parking tickets if you're homeless?
I guess living in your car.
Oh. But all you have to do is prove you're poor?
Yeah.
How do you prove you're poor?
Typically, they hand out a little sheet. It's like, how much do you make a week? And they kind of just build on that. They call it the indigency form.
It's nothing,
yeah,
actually.
Yeah, I live in my parents' old Subaru, and I smoked a crack apparently on the beach every once in a while.
So you're allowed to get out of your fines.
No fines.
That's nice. That's nice. I think we got time for one more fun law from California.
Okay, well,
are these all California?
Those were all California, but these next three are actually states you've mentioned. Washington, Maine, and Oregon are all going to be putting in vaping, e-cigarette, and nicotine product taxes taking effect in 2026. In Washington, you'll see that all nicotine-containing products, disposable, synthetic nicotine items, and pouches will fall under the state's tobacco products tax at 95% of the taxable sales price. This replaces the prior vapor-specific tax structure, and it's going to hit all the products on the market. Similar in Maine, other nicotine products will hit a 43 to 75% tax on the cost of the price as part of the broader tobacco tax hikes. And then in Oregon specifically, the pouches will get taxed 65 cents per can.
That's insane. It's insane.
Coming for the Zins, man.
They're coming for the Zins. We used to be a much more proper country back when you could smoke wherever you wanted. And I know that's an unpopular opinion, but it's the truth.
Have you ever seen a picture of a Waffle House in like the late 80s and early 90s?
Oh, it's so based.
Yeah.
Dude, I used to love that stuff. So I smoked as a kid. We would go to the Owl Diner in Lowell, and there was a smoking and non-smoking section, which was hilarious because that just meant the whole restaurant was smoking. And it was awesome. It was freedom. And I remember when they took it away in Massachusetts, and I was like, this sucks. And it's like ever since then, you've seen like slow erosions of our personal liberties and freedoms. I'm not a fan. Not a fan at all.
I think it all started with seatbelts.
It's seatbelts, too. You ever see the old 80s video where they're like, why are you coming down on me for drinking and driving? I can't have a beer on my way home. This is ridiculous. It is ridiculous. 11:22. Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN app.
Hey, what's up? It's Chris Hand here from my friends at the Wellness Institute of Nashville. 2026 is the year you get back to a pain-free life, and you're going to do it with the Wellness Institute of Nashville. It doesn't matter what you're dealing with. Back pain, neck pain, sciatica, herniated or bulging discs, knee pain, numbness in your arm or legs. The Wellness Institute of Nashville can help you, and they'll do it without surgery, without painful injections, and without opioids. Well, how do they do that, you might ask? Well, Dr. Mitchell and his team are the first and the only office in Tennessee with a brand new device called the HydroWave. Get used to hearing it because you're going to hear it a lot more in 2026. The HydroWave stimulates stem cells for real cellular healing. No surgery, no needles, no injections. Pair that with a non-surgical spinal and knee decompression. This is about as advanced as it gets. They use anti-gravity machines, robot lasers, and they'll actually take the time to review your MRI and explain what's happening and how to fix it. You can start a pain-free life. You can have a pain-free year. It is possible. But it's only possible with the Wellness Institute of Nashville. 615-246-5009. That's 615-246-5009. Or find them online, painisbad.com.
Right now, Robertson County got a crash blocking the right lane 24 eastbound at Maxey Road. And Metro Police say they arrested a man threatening to kill people inside a grocery store here in Nashville. We'll tell you about it at 11:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
That's Ken Weaver in the newsroom. He's one of the best. What's up, Ken?
Nothing much, Brother Chris. Check's in the mail.
Oh, you got it. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Make it a little bit bigger than what it was last time. Otherwise, these nice compliments are going to cease to exist in 2026. Hey, you guys want to get mad? Anybody want to get angry?
I woke up today.
Perfect. Well, maybe this levels you out. I don't know.
Right.
We'll see what happens. Debbie Wasserman Schultz, everybody's favorite Floridian congresswoman who also looks like a Shar-Pei. Debbie Wasserman Schultz says that mass deportations, not America first.
Most popular issue is immigration, and the undocumented immigration that he says is a violent threat to our nation. When most people who they are deporting are not criminals and are simply here, who are being rounded up. 2 weekends ago, they rounded up 200 people just by stopping lawn care trucks in the neighborhood right near my own home. Is that who we fear in this country? Or is it that we want to make sure that we keep this country safe and that we can focus on America first? To me, means taking care of people at home and making life affordable when it comes to rent and healthcare and utilities, and ensuring that Americans can keep the better life that they deserve, not have Trump go after people and waste millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars deporting people.
Oh, yeah. Wasting all that money deporting people is not America first, says Debbie Wasserman Schultz. It's okay to spend billions on processing them, housing them, feeding them, and educating them, but it's a waste of money to deport them.
And you didn't even have to include the medical care.
I didn't even include the medical care. I didn't even bring up the fraud. Also, the lawn care guys, hilarious.
In my neighborhood?
My neighborhood, I live in one of the richest areas in Florida, and we're all paying illegal aliens to do the job for less than Americans.
Get you a pair of scissors, lady.
I thought the next thing she was going to say was, something about the maid services or her toilet not being clean.
Honestly, you thought she was going to go full Kelly Osbourne. Who's going to clean your toilets, President Trump? Who's going to do it? Nobody. Nobody's going to do it. It's 11:30. Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
$11:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Right now in Nashville, Metro Police say they arrested a man who allegedly threatened to shoot people inside the Kroger on Charlotte Pike. Officers say 37-year-old Timothy Patton smelled of alcohol and tried to run when they approached him. During the struggle, Patton allegedly elbowed an officer in the head before being restrained. He faces multiple charges, including assault on law enforcement and resisting arrest. Starting January 1st, Tennesseans going to launch the nation's first domestic violence offender registry. Savannah's Law, named after Deputy Savannah Puckett, creates a public list of repeat offenders maintained by the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation. The registry will be free and searchable online. Lawmakers say it's designed to help protect victims and increase accountability. Workers who make the least going to be making a little more in a few days, says ABC's Wayne Cabot.
19 states will raise their minimum wage on January 1st, usually by a few dollars. 3 more will raise it later in the year. 20 states, though, are keeping the federal minimum of just $7.25 an hour. For example, Pennsylvania. And what a difference the state line makes. Cross over into New York or New Jersey, it's more than double. Economists say it's not just the lowest earners who will get a raise. They say that when employers raise the base wage, the tide often rises up the ladder. Wayne Cabot, ABC News.
Well, Tennessee not among the 22 states raising the minimum wage. Technically, Tennessee does not have a state minimum wage. Instead, the volunteer state defaults to the federal minimum wage of $7.25 an hour. And a lot of folks going to be taking down the tree this week. You have options for how to dispose of it.
Recycling real trees is a popular option. Just clear it of all the decorations and take it to one of the drop-off locations set up by the Nashville Department of Transportation. They'll bundle them all up and take them to the Metro Nashville parks for use. Otherwise, haul it out to the curb so NDOT's brush collection crews can pick it up. The Tennessean has a list of those drop-off sites and the brush collection schedule published in today's newspaper. You can check it out at Tennessean.com. Got an artificial tree that you want to dispose of? Take it to one of Metro Nashville's 4 convenience centers. For WTN News, I'm Joan Jones.
That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
It's 11:36 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. The show is brought to you by our friends at Better Water LLC. Water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. I was off on Christmas Eve, and we weren't We weren't able to give you as much ammo as you needed at your family get-together to yell about Somalis, but hopefully we've rectified that situation heading into New Year's. I feel like we've done a good job.
Yeah.
Do you want to be the weird uncle at the family get-together just yelling about Somalis? You got plenty today. You got plenty. There's probably going to be more tomorrow, too.
I mean, people are guesstimating there could be $18 billion worth of fraud.
It's crazy, dude. This is the biggest fraud scandal in the history of the country. It puts everything else to shame. Everything else to shame. Who would have thought that if you imported pirates, they would do pirate things? Nobody knew.
Just because the geography and, the landscape of the pirating changed doesn't mean that the pirating stops.
Nobody could have seen this coming. It's crazy. It's crazy. The Nick Shirley reporting is out there on X. It's a 42-minute video. It is worth the watch, and I highly suggest that you do that today or this evening. You can find it on my Twitter account, @ChrisHandOnAir. Hit the follow button while you're there. I will follow back. If you're watching us on YouTube or Rumble, hit like and hit subscribe. Help us grow the digital footprint of the radio station. We look at this radio station as a service, and one of the things that we want to do is bring you the biggest interviews, the most cutting edge content all the time. And one of the ways that we're doing that is through the YouTube page. If you can help us get those likes up, if everybody that listened to this radio station would subscribe to the YouTube page, it's free to do. We would have that digital clout. We would be taken serious by a lot more people, and we'd get bigger interviews. We'd get bigger exclusives and more scoops, and that would be huge for the radio station, be huge for Middle Tennessee. And we ask you to hit like and subscribe to do that. Right now, we do it every day at this time. It's 11:38, so that means it's time for the lightning round.
It's the lightning round with Chris Hand.
Every day at this time, we do the lightning round, and we go through all the stories that wouldn't fill up a whole segment, all the stories that we wanted to talk about, but we didn't have a chance to, but big stories nonetheless, and we do that in the lightning round. We have Sam producing today's lightning. I mean, it's on top of us today. It's very coming very quick, very quick. Thank you, Sam.
I'm a little rusty with it though.
You gotta get ready. First story in the lightning round. This one is file this under. What the hell are you thinking? What are you thinking? This is from The Intelligencer. The Intelligencer. It's a newspaper out of West Virginia. The Intelligencer. Is that a word? Intelligencer? Intelligencer. That's what the name of the paper. The Intelligencer. You're Googling it, aren't you?
It's also a New York magazine?
No, this one's West Virginia. Anyway, Charleston, West Virginia. There's a new law banning certain food dyes and additives in food sold in the state that doesn't go into effect until 2028. You've heard of this stuff. It's all part of the MAHA coalition, getting the food dyes out of the foods, and it's a big deal. It's a huge win. Except for one Obama-era judge. U.S. District Judge Irene Berger. She said, no. Keep the poison in. That's what she said. I think, I'm paraphrasing a bit. She said, how do you know that's poison? Technically. She granted a motion for a preliminary injunction sought by the International Association of Color Manufacturers, the IACM, prohibiting the State Department of Health from enforcing provisions in House Bill 2354 banning certain products from food in West Virginia. HB 2354 amended state code regarding adulterated food and drugs, banning specific food additives and dye found in processed food products sold in the state, like red dye number 3, yellow dye number 5. They said they're unsafe. Everybody knows that they're unsafe. There are numerous studies that outline how they're unsafe. If you've ever had a young kid eat some red dye in front of you, you're like, holy cow, this is unsafe. This kid is bouncing off the walls. It's insane. So everybody wants this stuff out. This is one of the reasons that Donald Trump got elected. We brought in a lot of crunchy granola moms who wouldn't have voted for the grab 'em by the you-know-what guy if it wasn't for RFK and the MAHA movement. It's just the facts. MAHA is a big reason why we won in 2024. Other prohibited additives included butylated hydroxyl, propylparaben, I don't know what the hell that is. Nobody does. But they're saying it's fine. Red dye number 40, yellow dye number 6, blue dye number 1, blue dye number 2, green dye number 3. The bill also protects individuals in the state from criminal provisions in the bill as long as they sell less than $5,000 in aggregate food sales per month for products containing the banned food additives and dyes. Under state code, individuals who knowingly contaminate food items for sale using the banned food dyes and additives without informing the buyer could be charged with a misdemeanor and face potential fines up to $500. Everybody's a fan of this, except for this Obama-era judge, Irene Berger. It was going to go into effect on January 1st, 2028. The court rejected claims that the law was a bill of attainder, a legislative act that unfairly singles out a person or group. Berger found the legislation unconstitutionally vague because it failed to provide objective standard for what constitutes a poisonous ingredient.
Come on, Irene.
Exactly.
Had to go there.
You had to. All right, so, I mean, don't worry. Merely a speed bump in the Maha movement. Got another story for you here in the lightning round. This happened over the holiday break. It was a Christmas miracle for some. Donald Trump striking Nigerians, Nigerian Islamic terrorists in particular. They were going to strike them on Christmas Eve, but Trump said, no. Hold off. Let's send him a present on Christmas.
New York Times is reporting the strike involved more than a dozen Tomahawk cruise missiles. Those missiles reportedly fired off a Navy ship in the Gulf of Guinea in coordination with the Nigerian government. And President Trump is threatening to kill, quote, many more terrorists if the murders continue.
This is another reminder to extremists everywhere, Muslim extremists, Islamists everywhere, that President Trump is going to be ever vigilant.
And President Trump told Politico that the strike was originally supposed to happen on Wednesday, but he postponed it to Christmas Day for symbolic reasons.
Based. Absolutely based.
He got his Washington moment.
Golly, thank you. I know, right? With George going across to Delaware. I love that story. Like, don't forget, George Washington was such a badass that they went through an icy river on Christmas Eve to kill the British barefoot in the snow.
And their Hessian counterparts.
Based. So Donald Trump, yeah, he's channeling his inner George, and he's going after the Nigerian Islamic terrorists on Christmas, and it's a beautiful thing to watch, and I'm here for it. Now, one of the things that maybe you missed in that report was that she said with the cooperation of the Nigerian government. So if you're keeping score at home, the Nigerian government went from denying Christian extermination was a problem to coordinating strikes on Islamic terrorists in Nigeria. Based. Absolutely based. Only one guy could get that done. DJT, 45-47. Got another story for you here in the lightning round. This one's fun. This is a fun one. Zohran Mamdani, the celebrated mayor of New York. He's got a new fire commissioner.
This one makes me angry.
You'd think that they would learn. You'd think they would learn about diversity hires after what happened in California with their lesbian fire chief. This is the first lesbian fire chief in New York City history, who is going to be the greatest lesbian fire chief they've ever had. Easily. Like, obviously. It's going to just award-winning. Also, was never actually a firefighter to begin with.
Lillian Bonsignor is a career first responder. In just 9 days, she'll be running the world's busiest fire department, one of the most important appointments of the incoming administration.
And they deserve a leader who cares about their work because she did it herself, who understands every detail, and who will fight tirelessly to empower FDNY.
Except for the part where she didn't actually do the work herself. She was an EMT. No disrespect to EMTs. God bless them. Need more of them. Not a firefighter.
And make it the best firefighting force in the world.
Lillian Bonsignor began her career as an EMT in 1991 and was ultimately promoted to chief of the city's EMS division, where she served for 3 years before retiring in 2022.
Wait, so she hasn't even been on the job since 2022? Oh, what could go wrong?
Although she never served as a firefighter, she's confident that won't matter.
I know the job. I know what the firefighters need, and I can translate that to this administration who's willing to listen. I know what EMS needs. I have been EMS for 30 plus years.
So I could take the information and translate it through the woke filter, and then we'll defraud the city. Is that what? No? I don't know what they're going to do. It's a mess. It's a mess. How long until they don't have water in the fire hydrants in New York City?
Right, until we see people using purses to put out fires on the streets.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, in L.A.
Dude, that was so embarrassing.
A chain of purses to put out a literal dumpster fire in a parking lot.
It was like what you would see in a cartoon show when they show you what the firefighters do.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh.
My grandfather was a firefighter for years and years and years. Respect to the firefighters. What the hell is this? We're gonna hire someone who is an EMT for 3 decades and not knocking the service. Like that's a long time to be an EMT. But you haven't worked in the department in 3 years, at least. And now you run the whole show because of your sexual orientation? Am I wrong in assuming that that's why you got the gig?
I mean, it could be her gender.
You're right. Could have been her gender.
Ignore is a trailblazer for the LGBTQ community, who will serve as the FDNY's first openly gay commissioner.
Wow.
She's a highly respected, detail-oriented manager whose style has been compared to NYPD Commissioner Jessica Tisch, who will remain in her post in the new administration.
I guess just file that under stunning and brave.
Well, I mean, if you're counting the belt she's wearing. That belt is definitely brave.
Stunning and brave. Stunning and brave. Got time for one more story here in the lightning round. After months of speculation and a bit of mockery, I don't know if you're aware of this, the Obama Presidential Center has issued a response to explain the building design. If you recall from our previous reporting, people said the presidential library looks a lot like a prison because it's made entirely of concrete and there's no windows. Missing some windows. Well, they said, no. There's a reason we didn't put any windows in, okay? It's because of the stunning artwork that's going to be on display there.
Kim Patterson of the Obama Presidential Center helped answer the question that everybody is asking. Where are the windows? There are not a lot of windows on the building, but that's intentional because sunlight is just not a friend to the artwork and the artifacts that are going inside of the building, Patterson said.
Oh, we wouldn't want the Hunter Biden paintings that are going to be hung in the Obama Presidential Library to be ruined by sunlight. Obviously.
Is that how coked-based paints work?
I think so.
But what's the deal with the building's shape? That also was intentional.
The shape looks like a phallic Death Star.
I was going to say it looks like Azkaban.
Also true. What's up with the shape?
Shape of the building was actually meant to mimic 4 hands coming together to show the importance of our collective action.
Didn't they also have that statue or sculpture that was erected that was supposed to be 2 arms and it just...
Yeah, it was Martin Luther King hugging his wife.
Then it just looked like penis.
It just looked like penises. Filed this one under another thing Democrats made that looked like a penis. I guess.
They like to build things that look like them and chop them off of children.
It's terrible. It's terrible. You know, I said we didn't have any more time for any other stories after this one. I feel like we do have to recover. Let's end with some good news. One more story in the lightning round. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt has made a major announcement. She's got another baby girl coming into the fray. This is big news, good news. Let's end the day with some good news. We've done enough Somali fraud. We've done enough phallic Obama, no window presidential libraries. We've done enough lesbian fire chiefs. Let's end on some good news, shall we? Caroline Levitt's having another baby. She announced this on Instagram. The greatest gift of Christmas we could ever ask for. A baby girl coming in May of 2026, saying, my husband and I are thrilled to grow our family and can't wait to watch our son become a big brother. My heart is overflowing with gratitude to God for the blessing of motherhood, which I truly believe is the closest thing to heaven on earth. I'm also extremely grateful to President Trump and our Chief of Staff, Susie Walz, for their support and for fostering a pro-family environment in the White House. 2026 is going to be a great year, and I am so excited I get to be a girl mom. Caroline Levitt has another baby. She's not leaving the job either. So she'll take a couple months off. I wonder what the poly market betting odds look like on how much time off Caroline Levitt will get after the baby. There's got to be some betting odds on that,
Yeah,
right?
that or Kalshi, you know. I wonder how much more fiery she'll be with reporters.
Oh, man.
That mama energy hits different.
It does. It does. Well, congratulations to Caroline Levitt and her family growing. That's what we need. We need more conservative Christian babies.
Quit looking at me through the glass.
I just gave him a look. You're married. Just saying. We need more conservative Christian babies. 11:53, Super Talk, 99.7 WTN.
All right, today's meeting between President Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu comes as Iran's president says they're at war with us. I'll tell you about that story and more at noon on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
That's Ken Weaver in the newsroom. It's 11:57 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? Chris Hand here. Show is brought to you by our friends at Better Water LLC. Sam Rutherford producing today. Thank you, Sam. Chad Benson.
What'd you do with Mason?
We don't talk about that. We're not talking about that right now.
Oh, okay.
He'll be back tomorrow. No, he got a day off. Well deserved. Well deserved. They made the guy work Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. He texted me. He said, "Hey boss, do you mind if I take off Monday?" I said, yes, I do actually.
But you can
find a skilled replacement. And he said, "Best I can do is Sam." I said,
there you
"That'll
go.
do.
There you
That'll
go.
do."
Sam's a good guy.
He's a great guy.
Right on, brother.
Huge fan. What's going on with you, man?
Nothing. Just relaxing. We're ready to get back into this for 2 days.
I know, it's such a weird week, right?
I think we should do this now. I think this is the way the world should work. 2 days of work, 5 days off.
You think so?
That'd be nice.
I'm in.
Let's do it.
I wouldn't be against that.
No, you and I were talking we're like, yeah, if I didn't have to do all this stuff, I wouldn't leave the house.
Yeah, I wouldn't leave the house. I would still probably host some sort of show. I just wouldn't go anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. Not anywhere that I would only go somewhere I wanted to go.
Yeah.
To do something I want to do. Like, the kids are one thing, but I'm not going you need to come here. We're going to do this. No, I don't want to. No. I didn't. No.
It's like
people now.
My favorite part about the break was what'd you do? Where'd you go? Nowhere. We went to Alabama on Christmas Eve to see my sister, and then that was it.
And then you were back. How long of a drive?
It's like an hour and change.
That's not bad.
No, it's nothing crazy. I mean, when she used to live in New Hampshire to what we got now, it's night and day. You know.
That is so nice because the whole family. Because that's what I tell my family. You want to see me? Come see me. I'm not coming to you. I did that last year.
I can't do it. I mean, I got too many heads. Do you know how much it costs to fly this family around? And then even on top of that, or what if I drive up to New England? It's okay, 2 days on either side gone. No,
it's too much. It takes too much. You know what? Christmas, all the holidays. We're here. There's two of you. You're empty nesters. You come to us,
dude. So my parents, this was their first Christmas in 43 years without a kid.
Really?
Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy.
It blew my mind when they said that to me. They had never. So my dad was married first. His first wife passed away. So my older sister's like my half sister. He said that him and my mom had never had a Christmas without a kid.
Who was there last year?
Insane. My older sister. They were with my older sister last year.
Did they just say, screw it this year, we're going on a cruise?
They went to Florida.
There you go.
Yep.
Solid.
Good for them. Based.
We're going to Florida. It's hot. It's beautiful.
What are you talking about today on the show?
The weather. I don't know. Probably some Christmas stuff. We're going to have fun. Talk about the New Year's. We'll probably talk a little about old Nick Shirley there. We're talking a bit about him.
He's
stuff
awesome.
like that.
Huge fan. And then Chad's in next. I'm doing double duty today. I'm going to be talking to the people of Little Rock, Arkansas.
Oh.
On 102.9 KARN from 4 to 6.
On Karn.
Karn.
I did news for them.
102.9 KARN. Am I the only one that thinks it's a missed opportunity not calling the station the Karen?
Yeah, that is a good one. You could have the Karen of the day.
I could.
You should do it.
I might.
Rock and roll. Don't work too hard.
I won't. Chad's in next. 12 o'clock. Super Talk 99.7 WTN.